What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol ORCL for Oracle Corp. On the left-hand side, we have the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. First things first, these guys did give us an earnings announcement after the bell today, so let's flip on the extended hours session, see what's going on with the number here. If we zoom in, wow, look at that. So a fairly volatile move on the announcement here, but definitively lower, right? So for the sake of today's video, we're going to assume that we'll open on some sort of gap down. We'll say that the opening print will be somewhere around this 86 whole dollar and that the overnight low will remain down here towards 85.59. And that's just, for the sake of today's video. Remember, a lot can happen between now and 9:30, but what we're about to discuss is a general framework you can use to navigate the bell whenever you're dealing with a gap up or down, right? In the case of this one here on Oracle. So shifting the focus over to the daily time frame chart now here on the left, the first thing we need to consider whenever dealing with a gap is the fact that we could get a gap and trap, meaning that because we're gapping down, we're going to trap the shorts down here and make the move higher. And that would, of course, be a gap fill up to today's low at 88.25. We'll call it for nice round numbers sake. So if we open here, fail to take out the overnight low, trade back up through the open, that's kind of your signal for the long up to fill the gap towards that 88.25. And just noting what the average range is here on Oracle, that's completely doable, right? If you look at some of these sessions from in here, sure, some of are compressed, but whenever we have an expansion of range day, that could easily do something like this. So that's completely on the table for tomorrow's session at the bell for 9:30, if that's how it wants to pan out. Now, the flip side of this coin is, of course, the fact that we could get a gap and go, meaning that we move lower, right? And if we look to the left here on Oracle, then, there's not a whole lot of structure in this general up move that was created back here. So that's going to leave some room to the downside to seriously get going if there's a widespread panic inside of Oracle. First thing is first, this prior pivot high is going to act as a bump in the road, and you'll notice that it's fairly close, right, to where we're gapping down into. But after that, that's where the room to run really comes into play, because the next major structure that I can see at least is down here at 81.35. And if we just look left from there, I mean, these are essentially blue sky levels. And I'll also just remind you, right, don't forget, this isn't a pretty solid uptrend here. I wouldn't fight it too hard, but if the downside case does pan out, that would be the area, structurally at least, to be looking out for as a target down there at 81.35. I would argue if the downside case does pan out, and that would look like, by the way, something like this, opening at that 86, consolidating in this overnight range, but without really taking out the open or the low, then when we get the break, that opens up the door to lower, of course. But if we take out that 84 mark, this is where I would say use some discretion and please just trail your stop lower if you're shorting this either with shares or via options. You don't want this to snap back up higher due to the overall uptrend that it's in and make your profits vanish, right? So please use a trailing stop if we do get underneath 84.84 to the downside. So those are my thoughts. Very doable to fill the gap to the upside. And also we have some reasonable targets to the downside if it wants to give us the gap and go. So it's really going to depend on what unfolds close to 9:30. We'll see how these numbers adjust, but again, the framework will not change. The numbers might by the time 9:30 rolls around. So if you enjoyed the video or learned anything new, certainly let me know down below in the comments section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description, and all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.